We are recording this 2 days after the most idiotic presidential election of my lifetime.
Oh my God, so stupid.
One of the dumbest times of my life.
So stupid.
Initially, I feared that any attempts to connect this episode with current goings-on would date it beyond listenability after 3 months. That in the event of a Biden blowout or Trump squeaker, it would be an irretrievable time capsule. But this sad little clusterfuck that nobody won, really, is perfect. Our thing here is perfect. The Sopranos is a show about decline. Decline not as a romantic, singular, aesthetically breathtaking act of destruction, but as a slow, funny, sad, and limp dick slide down a hill into a puddle of garbage water that humiliates us all. You don't flee a burning Rome with your beautiful beloved in your arms, barely escaping a murderous horde of barbarians. You sit down for 18 hours a day, enjoy fewer things than you used to, and take on the worst qualities of your parents, while you watch your kids take on the worst qualities of you. The Sopranos is also one of the funniest TV shows of all time. Probably for that reason. Its dialogue is funny enough when it intends to be, but situationally, it captures the tenor and feeling of our pathetic slide in its full comic range, arguably better than a prime Armando Iannucci. You probably know about David Chase, the most self-hating of all TV geniuses, the way the cast came together by producers finding Goodfellas as best supporting actors and speaking extras. We imagine you're familiar with all the other background, or how Lorraine Bracco nearly played Carmela, how Michael Rispoli was nearly Tony. You know this show's whole deal. I don't wish to delay us any further. Let's just get into it. So, I've seen this entire show 5 times.
Marvelous.
I want to start out by I want to talk about The Sopranos' place in TV history because it came at a very interesting time at the end of the 90s. And did you get to watch? Have you at any recent juncture watched any of the first 2 seasons, especially the first 1.5 seasons?
Yeah, I recently rewatched the first season, and I was kind of astounded at how not The Sopranos it is. Kind of.
Yeah. It's like it's like a USA Network show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's flashes of brilliance, and it's not a bad show at all, but it just it's I felt watching that as I did watching Gunsmoke, where it's okay, I see the pieces, but they're not put together yet.
Yeah, exactly. And you could and it really does show you how. I mean, it's facile to say that The Sopranos invented prestige television as a concept, but it didn't invent it out of whole cloth, because nothing is invented that way. It evolved into it. It established a level of, psychological complexity and novelistic storytelling detail and symbolism that had not existed on television to that point. But it still was a television show like the other television shows that were surrounding it. And it took time to work itself out and respond to the condition of its own creation, and push the boundaries that it itself established. And you watch the seasons, and it's just it's evolving in front of you. It's like the fossil and the later species in one thing.
Yeah, I think a good marker for it is the further The Sopranos goes, the better it gets.
Yeah.
But the better it gets, the less aware you are of the time it was made. If you're watching season 5, season 6, you, of course, if you're my age, you, of course, recognize it as the mid-2000s, the beginning of the second Bush era, 2004, 2005. But generally, you're not struck with this sense of datedness.
Yeah.
When you watch this first season, you're this was very much filmed in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. The dialogue has all those markers of that sort of awkward middle-late period of TV. The way that they treat AJ, I think, is the biggest. AJ is in this first season, AJ is a little he has the center part that all kids had back then.
Yes.
I think I had that. But he's just like a fat little scamp who loves doing wholesome mischief with his dad.
No fucking ZD now.
Yeah, as opposed to what he became, which was brilliant, which is just a lump. Yeah. No positive qualities, like actually kind of a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Greedy, immature.
A guy who is aware of where his father's money comes from, aware of the life his father leads and the thing his father does, and not able, morally, like unable to commit to doing those things, which I guess is like in a way supposed to be good, but coupled with a deep addiction to the pleasures surrounded with the lifestyle it provides, that he essentially could never do anything except just float on his father's excess money, because he cannot will himself. He cannot bring himself to make the moral choices Tony does, but he also can't will himself not to just be lazy enough to apply himself to anything else.
Yeah, it's just like the fat, lovable son, the daughter who's like a little crazy, but she's a good girl.
Mm-hmm, yeah. She likes to hit the books.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, Tony's a bad guy, but him and his wife really love each other. And it's still like, it's still very much The Sopranos. Like, don't get me wrong. That the first line of the show is Tony talking about how he feels like he got into everything at the wrong time, about how he feels like he got into everything right as his ending.
Yeah.
Namely the Mafia.
Yeah.
And that's like, even though it's the tenor of the Melfi scenes changed, like in those first, I'd say 1.5 seasons, it's like, oh, what if a mobster went to a shrink, And then it just becomes like, oh, this is a professional managerial class person getting a liminal thrill out of her brief access to a different world that's also dying.
Yeah.
And it's very sad and well done. And it's also a great plot device because it allows for narration where they clearly didn't want to do overt narration. That's not David Chase's style in this, but it allowed for a lot of expository elements that would be awkward otherwise. But it's still, so the first season is about Tony, his mom, and Junior. Really just mostly about Tony and his mom. And you get introduced to the cast of characters. There's, Jackie Aprile, the boss of the family, who, like, this is how 1998 it is. They're sitting around Satrielli's, the pork store that they all hang out at, and they're having a sit down with Junior, and Tony goes, "Hey, Jackie, how's your stomach cancer?"
Hey, that's the freaking too much.
Yeah, and he's like, I might be dying. I don't know. Like, it's like it's not nowhere near as artfully done as as it becomes to be, but it's still like incredibly watchable. Like, the people who directed this and wrote this, they have decades and decades of experience in TV. Like, David Chase cut his teeth, 20 years before The Sopranos started. So even for how dated it is, like, I still love watching it.
Yeah, it does. It gives you a greater appreciation just of how collaborative the process of art making is, especially the sort of long form piece like a television show. Not just a collaborative between the people making it in the moment it's being made, but over time, because you're collaborating with, like, the way that the tapestry of the show basically requires you to find more depth. Because if you're not just doing plot-based stuff and you just have a new plot every season, then you have to deepen the connections between the characters, and you have to deepen the thematic content of the show to literally fill the time that's not being spent doing narrative work.
Yeah, in that first season, the content of the show does not fit the theme.
Yeah.
Like, the first crime we see Tony do is he goes into a crowded office park with Christopher and beats up an HMO executive in front of, like, dozens of witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And if your thing is about how the Mafia is declining, they can't get away with what they used to, they don't make what they used to, they don't have the power they used to, Tony would go to jail.
Yeah, seriously.
And speaking to what you said about the collaborative nature of art, they obviously got far away from things like that. They got a lot into Tony's fear of prosecution, how he would actually, when the show became what it was, he would never do anything like that. And I think part of that collaboration is the more that they made Tony Gandolfini.
Yeah.
Like, Gandolfini, he had his personal demons. No, like, Me Too shit. No creepy shit. But he'd get a
little zooted sometimes.
Yeah, he loved his enjoyments, and he was very depressive. He would never like he got divorced. He would never like fucking raise a hand to his wife or anything. He was, by all accounts, a good guy.
Yeah.
That's what everyone says. But he would like there's stories in court filings in his divorce that he just started like punching himself in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, he
And-
seemed to be very self-hating, and he was notoriously very critical of his acting. He thought he was a terrible actor.
Which is amazing because he's the greatest TV actor of all
absolutely.
time.
No, that's the standard.
Like Michael Rispoli, the guy who played Jackie,
Mhm.
who was almost Tony. I think he's a very good actor, but he could not.
Oh,
have
he could
carried.
not in a million years.
But to give a little context to all this, to why The Sopranos season 1 and the first episode of season 2 is like this, we have to give context to TV at this time in the late 90s. The only thing sort of before The Sopranos, if you're not counting extremely proto prestige TV like Gunsmoke, it was Oz.
Mhm.
Oz was
Yes,
sort of the first
Oz
thing.
was, and it had to have been on premium cable because, like the business model of cable required niche audiences, and who are you going to get to pay for content?
Yes.
Which is the pay cable model, and that requires people who have a certain sensibility around art. Which means if you're going to produce content, you're going to produce a show. It can't just be a procedural like you could get on a network. There has to be a value add, which is quality. But nobody knew what that was because TV had existed since time immemorial to sell fucking soap. So how the hell do you add that? And like our chief narrative, less adulterated with capitalist narrative models for art that we had were theater and novels. And because of its visual nature, television drama was mostly modeled around theater. And that meant that when they started putting shows on HBO, and they're like, all right, creators, you guys, the most ambitious of the people who work within network television's constraints, and Tom Fontana worked on Homicide, which is a very much one of those, mutate, whale wristbone shows that is like clearly moving towards the concept of prestige television, but, is constrained by its limitations as a genre show. They brought, hey, Tom Fontana, what do you want to do? And they made essentially a theater show. They made a show that's not like, like the Clifford Odets kitchen sink realism that used to be the closest thing to quality television. It's now like experimental theater.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there are monologues that just address the soliloquies. I mean, there was a musical episode. There's like Harold Piradu spinning around in a giant hamster wheel. Yeah. Like the typical episode of Oz is Harold Piradu. Like there's 73 rapes before the credits of just men raping each other, and then Harold Piradu going, "The GDP of the United States has grown 3% every year for." Like,
and he's on like a trapeze while he's doing it.
Yeah. It's and Oz is like a very entertaining show, but the only thing that makes it prestige is that there's about 70 million rapes per season and murder.
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't even be able to air on.
And it's like it's supposed to say something about society.
Mm-hmm. And there are some great individual performances in Oz. Like Christopher Maloney has a great scenery chewing role as a bisexual serial killer. I thought the guy who played McManus was an amazing libcuck.
Oh God, maybe the most iconic libcuck of the era. Just this rat boy trying to do some nerd reform shit with a bunch of paint eating psychopaths. It's just getting owned constantly.
Yeah, it never works. But so The Sopranos is very much in that mold. And when you watch that first season, you should keep that in mind, that there was nothing ever on TV that was like, what we see in seasons, latter half of season 3 through the end of 6B. And I want to go back to what you said about how it could be a novel or a play. Because the thing that The Sopranos most reminds me of is the novel.
Absolutely.
It's like Sopranos starts off, it feels like, oh, this is a TV guy who loved Goodfellas. But by the end, it's like Anna Karenina.
Mm-hmm.
It's about like pathetic, stupid, selfish nobility. And what so that's, I mean, it's about the mafia because David Chase is an Italian American from Newark who loves mob movies and grew up probably with a lot of guys who were like Johnny Boy or like Junior, Johnny Boy being Tony's father. But the function of it being in the mafia is so great because you get to make this thing that's like a little bit of an oasis in the modern world. There is still these peons paid to honor and loyalty and life oaths for or oaths, not life oaths for forever. Shit you would see in Nobility, shit you would see in a novel about
a bunch of inbred motherfuckers walking through the cherry orchards,
aristocracy in the Russian court, but because you can also do that in the modern world and show all the decay and sadness of the modern world. And you actually get to, the contrast of those two things allows you to show how sad both things are.
Mm-hmm.
How sad the mafia has always been and how shitty the modern world is also.
Yep. Yeah. You've de-glamorized the entire proceedings.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep going through the seasons of the stories just as a straightforward show because season one ends with Tony's. I think season one ends with the first sustained act of brilliance in the show, and that is Tony's mom tries to kill him.
Yes, yeah, we're getting it's like the revenge of Oedipus's mom.
Yeah, but what I loved about this is this takes place. Tony is suicidally depressed because he's been double dosing and then half dosing and then cold turkeying SSRIs. Yep. And he just hates his life. And he looks like shit. He's going out to buy a newspaper and a jug of orange juice that he just drinks in front of everyone in the street. And these two guys that Junior and his mom hired come up to kill him. And in that moment, he decides he wants to live. Not out of love for his family or affirmation of life or the many great things he gets to enjoy in life, both sensory and otherwise, just out of spite.
Yep.
Fuck yeah, I'm not going to go out on your terms.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to think I'm going to die? No, fuck. Yeah. Just driven. All the opposition to something else is the only thing. There's no internal drive. There's nothing to live for other than others' pain.
Yeah. And season 2 is when we really start getting into it because it still has those touches of USA-ness, but we get to see Tony as the brutal, cold-blooded murderer. It starts out with him just killing this guy for just talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's why he kills Philly Spoons Parisi in the beginning of season 2.
Right.
Season 2 also, it introduces our first major mob antagonist, Richie Aprile.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I forget this actor's name. I watched, it's David something. I watched an interview with him on Talking Sopranos, which is Michael Imperioli.
Yes.
And Steve Sharippa's actually wonderful podcast. They do a great job.
David Preval
does a really good job of playing a pathetic psycho.
Yeah.
A guy who's completely terrifying, but also a fucking loser.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's not usually the archetype. If the scarier a person is, the more they seem to be a master of the moment because of their willingness to do things. And it's yeah, he's a black-eyed psycho, but even his evil intent is thwarted by his incompetence.
Yeah, he starts the season out by ruining a guy's life for no reason, really. Just paralyzing him and just continually baiting Tony and just being a sociopath. But every time he tries to win Tony's favor socially or just be normal around people, he's just a fucking loser. He tries to impress Tony by giving him a leather jacket he took off a guy in a street fight 30 years ago. And Tony is okay, thanks, man. What the fuck is this? And gives it to his maid's husband.
Loser.
Yeah. And this is that is another thing I think the first 2 seasons do great is Tony as PMC, kind of.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, you got those 2 Southernesses at Seton Hall.
Yeah. Everyone else in the Sopranos, except for Johnny Sack, the highest upper management of the mob, lives in the shittiest house.
Absolutely.
Just disgusting. Even Jackie Aprile, who is the boss of Jersey, his house kind of sucks.
Yeah.
When you see it in later scenes. Tony lives in a disgusting new construction palace that's way nicer than anyone else's house. He has help. His wife is intimately involved in like PTA and the Catholic Church.
Oh yeah,
And
the Diana Society.
they note this in the pilot that they call him a yuppie.
Yes,
which he is.
He is a fucking yuppie. He's the guy who is able to like negotiate the worlds, the mob world, and he's most successfully able to present a legitimate enough face to be in a position to fucking collect all that goddamn money.
Yeah, Tony, through his consultantship with Barone Sanitation, he gets to play the role of like a tacky New Jersey asshole who could still be friends with like Dr. Cusimano, his respected doctor neighbor, to go to the golf course, even if they make fun of him. Basically,
yeah,
he's still one toe in that world. And I like this because like fatherhood is sort of a stealthier theme than motherhood in this show. But Tony, there's constant reference to Tony's father, Johnny Boy Soprano, who was, like Tony is for the first few bits of the show, not the official boss of Jersey, but basically ran it, about how great Johnny Boy is, what a man he was, and Tony also feeling like he falls short because he goes to therapy and has panic attacks and is a yuppie.
Oh yeah.
But the reason Tony is in this position is because of his father, because his father was upper management.
Yeah, he's just he inherited it. Like no one can have like that's the trap of it, is that you imbibe these values of like, building things with your own bare hands, and you have these direct ancestors who part of the reason you respect them and carry their memory is because of what they accomplished. But because of what they accomplished, you're in a position where you can't accomplish anything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So season 2 is when it really starts being The Sopranos. Richie Aprile gets killed anticlimactically by Janice after hitting her. Janice is the addition of Janice was like, I think that's probably when people knew this is a brilliant show, because and all like characters like Janice and characters like Noah, people who represent the outside world, who attempt to varying degrees of success. Janice with failure, Noah with pure success, of being part of sort of the liberal professional world, but also portraying them as horribly like annoying.
Yes,
like. Janice is one of the most annoying characters ever on TV.
Oh my God. One of the most comprehensive, just a perfect, like one of those people without any positive traits, which in a lot of writing is just bad writing. Like, oh, you've made a one-dimensional bad person. No, Janice is a richly textured, multi-layered character for television, but every layer is shit.
Yes. I love every Janice scene. I love every fucking Janice scene. And going into season 3 is where every season they up the ante telling you how much of a bad guy Tony is.
Yes.
And season 3, they really hit you with that when Meadow goes away to Columbia and she starts dating a black student. And Tony is just, this is a great Tony is a piece of shit scene, because he's just pulls him aside, is out just astoundingly racist to him, and then faints when he leaves.
It's like the concentrated effort of like living up to that like part of his inheritance is still, because of his well-bred position at this point, so like intense to like breach that he can't hold on. He can't maintain the energy it takes to do that. Something that for his fucking dad would have been nothing.
Yeah, his dad would have like killed.
Yeah, just hit him with a baseball bat, then fucking like gone and got a pizza.
But I know a lot of people don't like a lot of Meadow storylines, but I thought what they do in season 3 with Meadow is great, because it's like the first 2 seasons are building, like it builds up the mafia, then it sort of makes you realize there are a lot of losers in it. It's kind of pathetic. And then you go, okay, what about the outside world? Does Meadow make it to the outside world? And you see the outside world,
there's no escape. Everyone is that shitty.
Yeah, like Noah, who I think this was a very brave narrative and thematic choice. Like when we first meet him, it's like, oh, he seems like a nice kid. He's smart, as full of himself as any college kid. And like, oh, Tony was that was awful what Tony did. But then the more you see of him, you're like, oh, he's a fucking asshole.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't deserve for Tony to call him racial slurs and shit, but it's like, he's an asshole. He's a dick.
Oh, yeah.
To everyone.
Yeah, it's like the cowardice. It's the cowardice at the heart of all of them. Like, that's the key thing, is that everybody is in that position of having gotten something they didn't earn, but not having, like, feeling guilty about it, but not guilty enough to do anything that upsets their degree of comfort.
Yeah, everyone is, you know how Tony loves taking out like just a wad of cash, like $10,000 to pay for dinner. Everyone does that in this. Like the first when Meadow meets Noah's parents, his dad starts bragging to Meadow, who's like an 18-year-old girl. He's like, "Oh, I was just talking to Tim Daly. I'm sick of him." And then like orders, like a $20,000 bottle of wine, and it's like, "Oh, you're just as tacky as Tony."
Yep. The only way you can express anything is through consumption for the sake of other people, not even for pleasure. Like that's the disgusting thing about so much of the indulgence is it's not even for your own pleasure. It's for the pleasure of other people, having other people see you do it. Yeah, no.
They also in Meadows' storyline this season, often underrepresented. Caitlin, do you remember Caitlin? Her neurotic, like over-medicated, over-therapied roommate.
Yep.
And that was like, I loved that because it's like some people will argue that it was unnecessary, but I liked it because it's like, oh, do you think it's like unambiguously good for someone to go to therapy? Look what happens when every single one of your fears and behaviors is immediately pathologized and made into a medical problem.
Yeah.
Look at what happens.
Yeah, like
look at what fucking happens.
There is no way out of this. Like indulgence just brings the anhedonia, and an attempt to look inward only turns you into someone who turns everything into an ailment.
Yes,
you crumble from the inside.
And to that, like season 3 is very much about like the second generation. It's about Christopher. It's about Meadow. Like there are a lot of really good Tony storylines. There's Gloria Trillo, which is Tony just ruins this poor woman's life by fucking.
Oh
her.
My God! Just like a plague of locusts with a fucking with a receding hairline.
Yeah, he is death incarnate.
Yeah,
Tony. Like this poor woman who like clearly suffering from BPD has to go to Melfi because she tried to kill herself from her last relationship with a married man, and Tony's like, "Hey, can I fuck you?" She's like, "Yeah," and he just ruins her fucking life.
Yep,
ruins it, and I just want to talk about Gloria Trillo for a little bit because there's this great scene when they break up where Gloria Trillo goes, "Oh, poor you," just like Livia does. And Tony has a therapy breakthrough while fighting with her physically and goes, Jesus Christ, I didn't just fucking meet you. I've known you my whole life. You're my fucking mother. And I used to, when I first watched it, I just took that straight forward. I was like, wow, what a fucking powerful scene. Poor Tony.
Yeah.
But then when I watch it, it's like the most perfect scene I've ever seen because it's like this fucking asshole just barged into this woman's life, fucked her. It was like, I don't really like you anymore, ruined her life, and then like hit her. And then he was like, oh, I'm also gonna have this is also about my own validation.
Yep. Yeah.
You're my mother, so I hate you. Bye.
Yes, this is your problem. You got some stuff to think about, lady.
Yeah. Like Tony's, there's this constant give and take where Tony is like more urbane and self-aware than his cohorts, but also like portrays this, like he goes to therapy for almost the entire show. And it's always like, I can't believe I'm going to therapy. I'm such a fucking this is for pussies. I'm not a fucking pussy who goes to therapy. I know. And the joke there is that he's self-pitying. He constantly is. But beyond self-pity, he's like someone who says Jeremy Corbyn gave them trauma.
Yeah. He's all about his lived experience.
Like, again, like fucking up this poor woman's life. And he's like, oh my God, I'm having trauma thinking about my mom. Die, you stupid bitch. Like, yeah, but this season is also about Christopher, who has, like, Christopher, the entire show is a permanent adolescent.
Yep.
And this season is about his addiction, you know, just Christopher and Meadow, the dichotomy between them. It shows the two ways in which you deal with the modern world. One is with Meadow, where you try to get out and rebel against your father with all these, like, just randomly picked social justice causes and just seeking achievements in the professional liberal world. And Christopher, which is just like numbing yourself and writing a terrible script.
Yep. It's like I don't want to do this, but I'm too good for a real job. I must be an artist.
Yeah.
Like that is the delusion of the entire generation that was being formed around that moment, which is what makes the show so tremendously impressive. Because it's really only in retrospect that, you know, most people notice what was happening. But like that frozen generation, that frozen fail son energy that both AJ and Christopher possess comes from that crisis of like, well, you could just put your head down and like live like a regular person and maybe have less free time and more alienation and maybe less money, but you know, hey, at least it wouldn't put you in this moral quandary of going into a world that you don't really feel is yours and makes you do things you don't really feel are right. But that's boring. What's the alternative to that? Well, just finding something about myself so fucking interesting and so brilliant that people will just pay me to be myself.
Yeah, that's all Christopher wants.
And I must stress, that is also all that I ever wanted. The difference is I got it. Booyah.
Yeah, we both got it.
End zone dance. But
we're both AJ.
We are. Oh, we are both AJ. The only difference is
AJ.
We're talented AJ. That's it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like, but I mean, we had that urge and instinct and that like pathology, but we also had talent. Most people aren't going to have enough, and so they're going to just be in this self-loathing circle to imagine themselves in that position to justify why they're still just absorbing the money in this trade that they can't feel that they're part of, and that therefore they cannot invest anything into.
Yes, like it's to sum up season 3, I think season 3 is the way you can tell this is how the show really comes into its own. David Chase really starts feeling himself. Gandolfini starts feeling himself. Directors and writers like Terrence Winter really start realizing what they're doing too in the episodes that they write and direct is because of the way that it becomes funny.
Oh God, yes.
In the first season and a half, the jokes are like very straight up. It's like, oh, what if you whacked the science teacher, you know? Like stock mob humor. But stuff like having Noah be detestable. Stuff like having, you know, Christopher write this barely legible script. I must be loyal
to my capo.
Yeah. Just having the courage to make every character loathsome.
Yep.
From Carmela's, like, season 3 features one of my favorite Carmela things, which is she starts feeling guilty about being Tony Soprano's husband and, like, goes to this old Jewish therapist who's like, yeah, what do you want me to tell?
Yeah, you're a party to crime. It's a moral. It's eating away at your soul and the souls of your entire family.
Yeah, she's like, he's like, yeah, you're a bad person.
You're a bad person. It's like, if you feel bad, then why don't you try being a good person?
And she's like, no, like, just doesn't do anything. It's so funny in this way that, like, it wasn't in those first few seasons, those first few episodes, because it's like the joke in the first few episodes is like, isn't the mob funny? Whereas season 2 onwards, especially season 3, is like, isn't the human condition funny?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Isn't the prison of consciousness in this place and time hilarious?
Yeah, it's like I think one of the biggest themes of the show is central characters who have amazing lots of luck and enjoyment and everything, wanting people to feel bad for them. Like,
Yep.
this is often forgotten, but when Carmela goes to that therapist, she's like, I also think I have ovarian cancer. And he's like, okay, did you like get a biopsy? And she's like, no. What?
I might be sick, so could you treat me like I am?
Yeah. That is the human condition. I have everything except not enough people feel bad for me.
Yeah, because I know that I suck, and so I have to seek out people to assure me that I don't.
Yeah.
But they'll never be able to do it because I know that I fucking suck.
Season 4 is a fucking masterpiece.
Mhm.
It's about the big season villain is Ralph Cifaretto.
Oh, God. Repulsive.
Awful.
Like, we've talked about how George Hurst is like this scariest antagonist on a show. Ralph is like, just for me, one of the most viscerally repellent.
Everything about him is disgusting.
Yeah.
He's a disgusting man. He's constantly telling shitty jokes. He's personally nasty. Like, one of the most emblematic Ralph Cifaretto scenes is when Vito's brother, I do want to talk about this episode in its entirety, but Vito's brother gets beaten by Mustang Sally, and he's like paralyzed, like he's like a vegetable, and Ralph Cifaretto they're all in the hospital, and Ralph Cifaretto's like, hey, look on the bright side, he wasn't that smart to begin with. And everyone's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
And he, like, even the mobsters, and he's like, I'm just trying to inject some levity.
It's like these guys who would, if they were aware of it, not be fans of cancel culture, are driven to be like, yo, Ralphie, I got to tell you, this isn't a call out, this is a call in, but that was out of order. You might want to check your privilege on that one, not having a kid who's fucking brain damaged now.
that is not a good look, Ralphie.
Yeah. Whoa. But yikes, my dude.
Yeah. So Ralphie is a great symbol of George Hurst is a great symbol of capital itself.
Yeah.
And its whims and its horrible efficiency and how it will do anything to perpetuate itself. But Ralph is equally great as a middleman of capital.
Yep.
He's not an owner. He does not own the means.
He's got to get his hands dirty.
Yeah. But as a functionary of capital, he's more of a Walcott. And they need Ralph for the Esplanade project. There's just, in season 3 and 4, the New Jersey state legislature passes this bill where there's hundreds of millions of dollars allocated for an Esplanade and a museum of science and trucking.
Oh, that's going to be the folks of coastal Jersey are going to flock to that museum of science over there.
That is they
got the best pizza in Jersey.
That is such a fucking good joke. The Museum of Science and Trucking. Like, what a great, stupid thing the legislature would spend money on.
It's like, what are we known for? Stuff falling off trucks. Let's make a museum.
Science and trucking. Like, so fucking dumb. And it's like, Tony hates Ralph. Everyone hates Ralph. Tony especially hates Ralph because he thinks he's better than him. He sees Ralph... in season 3, Ralph kills Tracy, she has a great storyline.
Yeah, really some of the most painful stuff on the whole show.
Probably the hardest to watch episode.
Yeah, for sure.
For background,
I actually had a hard time keeping off watching it after that. I kind of took a break because at that time I was like I didn't watch it live. I was like on it was literally a cassette.
That episode is David Chase. Like, there are a few times every season where David Chase grabs you by the lapels and we're like, no, these guys are terrible. Yeah. And University is one of those episodes because there's a dancer at the Bing who's like, she's very beautiful. She has fucked up teeth. She goes up to Tony to give him banana bread, and he's like, and ask him advice about parenting. And Tony's like, hey, you can't talk to me. like just fucking prick.
Yeah, you're not a human to me. You're not aware of that?
Yeah, she owes Syl a ton of money to get her teeth fixed, which is like really her only flaw. Her teeth are fucked up. And the entire episode is about how just no one gives a shit about her. And there are some like there are some great like Tony and all of them are PMC scenes because they'll show her being just beaten up and abused by Ralphie, and then the next scene is like this fucking Tony and Silvio and Ralph sitting around having some fucking shitty dinner party, telling shitty jokes, and then them seeing Jackie Jr., another character with no positive characteristics,
not at all,
going, "Whoa, watch out there, handsome," and it's like, yeah, no, they're just in their own world. Ralph kills her because he's on coke and she insulted him. And
after he knocked her up.
Yeah, Tony just loses it, hits Ralph. And this is like one of the most darkly funny lines in the show. Paulie goes, he was way out of order, Tone. And Tony goes, she was 22 years old. And Paulie goes, that too.
Cocksucker was way out of line.
20 years old, this girl.
That too.
It's just a fucking afterthought. And that's another example of the brilliance of the show. It's like, oh, Tony has a conscience. He's viscerally disgusted by this completely savage and awful act, this young life snuffed out, this person who was trying her best to be a good mother and be a good person in this awful world. Oh, is he going to kill Ralph for this? And it's like, no.
Yep. No,
he's going to keep doing business for Ralph.
They got a fucking Esplanade. They got Science and Trupping to get some fucking money from.
He'll fuck Ralph's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Shit. Yeah, but he won't.
That's the hashtag resistance right there. I'll fuck your girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. He ends up killing Ralph because he suspects that Ralph killed a horse that he didn't even own, just that he liked. He liked a horse that he thinks Ralph killed while Ralph's son is in the hospital with a coma. That's how Ralph's storyline ends. Season 4 ends with one of my favorite fights in the entire show, which is Tony's season 1 girlfriend, Irina, a Russian stripper, who after Tony broke up with also ruined her life again because Zellman, Tony's guy in the New Jersey State Legislature, starts dating her, and he goes, Tony, is this okay? Tony goes, yeah, I don't give a shit. And then, 2 episodes later, he gets drunk, invades their home, and beats the shit out of Zellman in front of her.
Yep.
Just pure malice.
Yeah,
just,
I don't even want it, but you can't have it.
Yeah. And this ruins her life because it ends their relationship because she can't see Zellman as a man anymore after that.
Yep.
Ruins her life.
Yep.
And then Arita calls their house and gets AJ on the phone. It's like, I used to fuck your dad. And that's it. Because Carmela, she can accept all this unless it comes home. That's her stupid rule. It's like, you can fuck whoever you want.
Yeah. As long as I can keep my little fucking lifestyle.
Yeah. But the second it comes home, she can't ignore it. And the fight they have in the pool house is so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fucking good. And it's great because it's like both are repellent, both have points. Carmela's like, you don't give a shit about anything. You don't give a shit about me. And Tony goes, oh yeah, no, that's one of the most cutting lines ever on TV when he goes, oh yeah, you'd be content with a Toyota and a little heart locket necklace. Fucking incredible. And after that, before this, Tony was trying to basically rebuild his marriage by buying Carmela beachfront property.
There you go. The only thing that's ever solved any problem, just more acquisitions, new toys to distract yourself.
It almost works.
Yeah, well, of course, because Carmela's awful. Carmela's as terrible as he is. It's like a totalizing poison that eventually absorbs everything.
We go on to season 5, which I consider the greatest season ever in TV. Steve Buscemi, Tony's cousin, Tony Blundetto, who went to prison where Tony should have also 20 years before the start of the series. And it's Tony B's a great character. I'm glad that they only kept him on for one season, though, because it it didn't make sense for him to be a permanent addition. Like, the hallmark of The Sopranos is having a character that you introduce one season and at most lasts 1.5.
Yeah.
Like, season 5 is when it really starts becoming about decay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, season 5, Tony and Carmela are separated. There's a lot of great scenes where, like, they'll first have a detente and then they'll have a huge fucking fight and Tony will be completely awful to her. They briefly have sex in the episode Marco Polo, which is Carmela's dad's birthday party. Hugh DeSantis, underrated character.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Carmela's put upon dad, who has a wife that always complains, but like loves his fat criminal,
his shitty fucking family, and you're like, what? Because he has this sort of dignity about him. He's got like that hawkish face, and he looks like a real like Italian peasant. Like he should have a shotgun over his shoulder and be guiding Michael Corleone to like a wine festival. And he loves these people, and they don't deserve it.
That's what's so like the boomers on this show are so great because it's like for the most part, like no, they are kind of better in some ways. Like Hugh DeAngelis is like a better father and everything than Tony, but it's also like it reminds me of when people are like, "Oh, I wish Reagan could see Trump." Like Reagan would love Trump.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah. When people are like, "Oh, Hugh is a man of honor. He fought in the Second World War. He'd hate a fucking fat criminal who cheats on his daughter like Tony." No, he loves him. Tony is like his favorite person in the world.
Because he's cool and he gets to do the stuff that he's never got to do.
Yeah.
He gets to like he's like, look at this guy. This is a guy who wasn't a fucking sucker.
Yeah, he wasn't a sucker like me who worked for a living and he gets my daughter all the stupid shit she wants.
Yep.
He's the man of the house.
Yep.
The only boomer who isn't like entranced by everyone is Junior, just because of how bitter he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're mad at the present or like you're mad at the world for why things are the way they are, like Junior is, or you're mad at yourself, like Hugh is. Like Hugh's like, I didn't take the chance, and then there's Tony, the boy.
Junior is Tony's Dorian Gray, like lonely, doesn't have any family really. Just his life is filled with like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Yeah. Lives in squalor compared to Tony.
Oh yeah.
It's by season 5 is fully ridden with dementia.
Oh yeah.
And I love like this is a season about Junior. This season is about decay, and Junior is a phantom of the past because, like, he's fully demented. He just wanders around Newark in a bathrobe in one episode. And yet, at the beginning of the season, when they have a Sunday dinner, Junior just is sort of like dementedly repeating, "Oh, he never had the makings of a varsity athlete." And Tony storms out of dinner like a child, like a 45-year-old man. Yeah.
It's like he's
oh, what the fuck?
He's an old man, dude. Like it was a while ago.
He says he used to repeat that in front of my girl cousins, and it was very embarrassing.
You're triggering me.
Like Tony is the biggest SJW.
He is. They all are. That's the thing. Like everyone who complains about that shit. They complain about it to the exact extent that they are totally captured by that reactive mindset, where like they are constantly being triggered. It's just by like the opposite shit. Like how the hell? Like how is like getting mad at Colin Kaepernick for not standing up, not fucking getting triggered? It's the exact same thing.
Oh, I wish there is just. I don't wish the show was still on because it would.
No, terrible.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It would suffer from the bloat everything else did, but I just wish there was one scene where they talk about Kaepernick.
Yeah. Oh, God. You stand up for the flag. These guys who've never voted or paid taxes in their fucking lives.
Just parasites on the country.
Not only did they not pay taxes, they've cost the taxpayers of New York and the United States like millions of dollars. They're literal welfare cheats.
They're just the most parasitic fucking leeches.
Yep. So
season 5 is... The main antagonist to season 5 is sort of the past. And
yes.
The events of season 5 are basically that Little Carmine, maybe my favorite character.
Because he's adorable. I mean,
I love Little Carmine.
Everyone's so terrible. Little Carmine is kind of endearing, which is unlike pretty much everyone else on the show.
Yeah, Little Carmine. The writers. We were talking about the collaborative growth of the show. The writers' just straightforward comedy writing improved because it's like the old dialogue jokes were just like, oh, whose pussy? My pussy?
Yeah.
But then when they get to Carmine's not just the malapropisms, which are hilarious, but the thing, like, do you remember when he goes, the question is not whether I will be as effective as a leader as my dad was, but time will show if that will eventually be true. I believe it will to be. Like, just such a good impression of how a stupid person talks. A stupid, spoiled person like Little Carmine.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I must have. It's like, like these all people. They all have positions that they don't deserve, and then they deal with that inadequacy one way or another. Like a guy like Tony is torn apart by anxiety about like whether he's up to certain things. But with Little Carmine, he squared the circle by reasoning, I have this position. It must be because of how smart I am.
Yeah.
And he's a fucking moron.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, so the background of this season is that there's a war for who gets to be the boss of the Lupertazzi family, which is basically, it's a stand-in for the Gambino family. Mm-hmm. Carmine Lupertazzi Sr. is basically Carlo Gambino if he'd lived till 2004, et cetera, et cetera. But it's about the past because a lot of the central antagonists of the seasons are people who were sentenced to prison in the 80s and got out.
Right, like yeah. Now it's like they want a piece of a much, much shrunken pie.
Feach Lamanna, who is played by, what's this actor's name again?
Oh, Robert Loggia.
So Feach Lamanna, here's a little bit of interesting background. Feach Lamanna was supposed to be like a Richie Aprile figure or a Ralphie figure for this season. But he was such a fucking pain in the ass to work with that they just wrote his storyline off after like 5 episodes.
That is the least surprising thing I've ever heard because Robert Loggia in that show, he's good, I guess, but he is incredibly irritating. Every line of dialogue, every moment he's on screen with his just scrunched hemorrhoid face. It's like, God, this is like, it's like having fucking steel wool scrubbing on your face watching it.
Yeah, no. So he played the character great.
Oh yeah, great.
I actually I don't think I would have liked to have seen a rerun of the Richie Aprile storyline because they kind of did that with Ralphie.
Yeah.
What I liked instead was they made this about the phantoms of the past and showed it to be about the decline of the mafia, the decline of America, the decline of the family. Like, Tony is haunted this entire season by the fact that his cousin went to prison instead of him 20 years ago. Mm. He, for 20 years, has said it's because a gang of black guys randomly jumped him, when the truth is he had a fight with his mom and fainted.
I couldn't go to the war because of my fallen arches.
Yeah. Tony Blundetto, he gets increasingly jealous of Tony S's lifestyle the more that they hang out. Because Tony does rub it in everyone's faces. He's an asshole.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, not even aware he's doing it.
He ends up doing hits for Little Carmine in their mob war, which greatly increased tensions between Johnny Sack, who's on the other side of the mob war, and New Jersey. Eventually, what does Tony be in is not greed, but it's sentimentality. When Angelo Gareppe, who is his cellmate and sort of his rabbi in prison, gets killed, Tony just fucking freaks out and tries to clip Phil Leotardo, who I think is my favorite villain in the entire series.
Oh yeah, perfect mix. It's like, because like the thing with Robert Loggia is that he's kind of got what they call wrestling X-Pac heat, where you know you're supposed to hate a villain, but then there's like a hate where you just like hate seeing them, and that's not good. With Phil, he is totally repellent, but he's also very entertaining, and you enjoy watching him.
I think this is the greatest performance of Frank Vincent's career.
For sure.
It's like that scene in season 6 where Phil, they're having his, I love this. Phil has a party every year on Billy's birthday where he gathers his entire family and is like, they fucking killed him. just imagine Phil Leotardo as your grandfather.
Yeah.
But when he's he goes on this rant about how their name was supposed to be Leonardo, but they changed it at Ellis Island. And it just like hisses at one of his grandkids. And then when he's sitting at the bar, he goes, I'm not going to take this shit anymore. It's like, Frank Vincent has always been a great actor and a great character actor, but this was more like he isn't just pure malice for the sake of doing for maliciousness. He went to prison for 20 years and is kind of constantly disrespected.
Yeah, I mean, he gave his life to that thing and he didn't get anything for it. Like, he's essentially like the working schmuck of the mafia, and that he didn't get to spend 20 years like making money and having ziti. He was in prison, and then he came out, and that all that was gone was the time, and nothing accumulated. And
they didn't give him anything.
They didn't give him anything.
His brother was the only one looking after his family. And then he just fucking dies, and Johnny Sack, who's also a yuppie prick, is like, yeah, you can't kill anyone. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we have a deal.
Yeah, sorry about your brother, man.
The money matters more than your fucking family. This is definitely working out for you, being in the mafia.
Yeah. This is a society of honor.
Yeah, right.
But season 5, there's this great tension throughout season 5 that I think it explodes in the episode The Test Stream. And the test stream is, there are dream sequences before in The Sopranos, but this is my favorite one. Or I don't know how much you count the coma as a dream sequence, but it's the only portrayal of a dream I've seen in fiction that feels like a dream.
Yeah.
Everyone is randomly placed. There's weird symbolism that doesn't all the way make it through.
Right.
There's this like constant feeling of embarrassment and something bad happened. It puts Tony in these positions that we don't see him in the show. Like teeth falling out of his mouth and being like, oh my God, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things in the test stream is when he comes home to his house, because he's separated during the course of this season up to this point. And he's just like in a bathrobe, and Carmela's like, come on, we have to go. We have to meet Finn's parents. And he's just watching fucking Lone Ranger on a shitty little kitchen TV. And he goes, can you stop? Like, what the fuck? Like, we have to go. And he goes, I'm sorry, just so much more interesting.
Jeez.
That's so fucking, and it's like, yeah, he's right.
Yep.
Like, and she goes, what are you talking about? This is your life. And then they just go, they have Finn's parents there, and they're played by Vic Makazian, who is another Sopranos payroll guy who Tony just abused until he killed himself. And then Annette Bening, which is great because that's what their dream's like. It's like, oh, I'm meeting someone from my real life and like someone that I saw in a movie.
Yeah.
But it ends with the Tony Blundetto thing going over. Tony ends up killing his own cousin to spare him the pain of being tortured by Phil. And there's this simmering tension like, oh no, is Phil gonna like kill Christopher or Tony? Is there going to be a war between New Jersey and New York? And it gets diffused by Tony and Johnny Sack meeting. Johnny Sack gets immediately arrested by the FBI. That's the end. Going into season 6, which is like one of the most depressing things ever captured.
Yeah, like it's they know they're ending, and they know that they're talking about the process of decay. So you got to get you got to show the fruit really like falling off the tree and getting black. And you have to concentrate like all of the horror because you've already absorbed like a certain level of alienation and bleakness from this world. You got to up the ante.
Season 6 is about Tony gets shot by a dementia-addled junior. He's in a coma. He recovers, and then there's a sort of high casualty war between New York and New Jersey that ends up getting resolved. That's season 6. But the decay in season 6 is amazing. When Tony's in the hospital, they don't just show decay of institutions and decay of, whatever. They show decay of relationships. Like Paulie, who like the entire show kisses Tony's ass, like gets a portrait of him dressed up like Napoleon, all this shit, like loves and worships Tony. When Tony is in a coma and it's like odds seem like he's going to die, after a 7-figure heist, he doesn't want to give any of his cut to Carmela, who could be widowed and has kids.
As soon as it looks like Tony has nothing to do for him, he loses any devotion. Just fucking heartless, absolutely heartless. This Feast of St. Elzier's is such a fucking good episode. So this was the feast that we saw in The Godfather Part 2, where Vito Corleone kills the head Don Finucci, and they repeat this in The Sopranos. But instead, and the background to this is The Sopranos sponsor the Feast of St. Elzier's every year, like through Paulie's connection to the Catholic Church. But Paulie doesn't want to put up $10,000 for the gold crown that they give St. Elzier's. So it's just like a completely shitty festival that no one likes. A ride almost kills Janice. Or it doesn't almost kill Janice, but she acts like it almost did because Paulie skimped on the rides. There's a like embarrassing hold me back confrontation between Bobby Bacala and Paulie. It just there's like a cannoli eating contest where it's just a bunch of horrible looking people, monsters, pig people.
Yeah. There's a great scene before the cannoli festival where there's just like this kid who looks like he's 12 years old in a full army fatigues, and just some neighborhood imbecile is like, "Hey, Paulie, this is my son. He just got back from Iraq," and Paulie's like, "Good job. I'm proud of you." Like the fucking asshole that leeches off my neighborhood.
Yeah, like, hey,
and like,
way to go sacrifice something I would never do.
Couldn't even spring $10,000 as collateral. He didn't have to buy it collateral for St. Elzier's Gold Crate. He wouldn't even do that. It's like, oh, he's proud of me for going to Iraq. There's furthering on the theme of decay and relationships. There's when Tony and Paulie have to go on the lam. Tony almost kills Paulie just because he's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like you see a thing like, when Tony's in the hospital, Paulie just immediately losing his loyalty. But that's because none of these people value any other person more than their utility. That, the only thing that matters is maybe is your sufferance of them, like because of your material conditions. So Tony can be more patient because he's got more money, but at the end of the day, everyone is only for transaction.
Yeah, and the last few episodes of this are so fucking depressing. Basically, all of Tony's friends that he actually likes dies. There's probably the saddest thing I've ever seen on TV. Junior runs out of money. He was in like a high-end psych ward after he shot Tony, and then he ran out of money, so they put him in a shitty state-run facility. And Tony visits him, and like Junior doesn't know. He thinks he's his dad. Like he just doesn't know who he is. And Tony's like, you shot me, and you also used to run North Jersey. And Junior goes, "Oh, that's nice." And Tony just like spitefully shoves his wheelchair into the wall, and Junior doesn't care, and no one at the facility cares.
Yeah,
like Tony has one last tantrum, one last pathetic tantrum for Tony that no one gives a shit about. Like, so here's something I caught on my rewatch of 6B recently. Tony is going to turn into Livia.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Because you remember, Sopranos home movies is not as outwardly depressing as that scene, but like very depressing. Tony has a shitty birthday party at a cabin with Bobby and Janice and Carmela.
Oh yes.
And everyone's trying to have a good time. Like Janice, in her own way, tries to act warmly to Tony. She goes, "Look at us, Tony. We have a good relationship now. We used to hate each other." And Tony goes, Did you hear about this car crash where all these kids died? Like he can't, like he had like the same way that Livia would ruin every dinner by talking about like a family that died that she read about in the news. Tony's doing it.
Yep. It's
Tony,
inevitable.
like, it's a great Sopranos bait and switch because the entire show they talk about how Johnny Boy was this adulterer, like kind of a bad guy, like fly by night as a father and everything. And it's like, oh, Tony's going to be like him. But it's like, no, Tony doesn't even get the dignity of being like a bad guy from the 60s. He gets to be his BPD mother.
Yep. He gets to be a bisexual woman with mental health issues.
That's what Tony is more than anything. Yep. And I so in retrospect of the past few days, I've changed my opinion again on the ending of this. Everyone knows the ending. Screen fades to black. So I think this is another Sopranos bait and switch now. In Sopranos home movies, they're talking about killing people. And by the way, Tony makes Bobby Bacala perform his first murder as revenge for beating him up.
You made me feel bad about this. So go kill someone.
Yeah. But when they're talking about it, Bobby goes, oh, it's supposed to be like nothing. Just a light goes out when you die.
Yep.
And they flash back to this when they're in the mattresses kind of during their war with New York.
Yeah.
And also everyone in that diner mirrors existential threats to Tony. There's a guy who looks like he could be from New York to kill him, even though their war is officially ended. There's a guy in there who looks like an FBI agent. There's all this shit. And when the screen fades to black, it's implied what many people think, that Tony has been killed.
Yeah.
But in the retrospect of our dumbest election, and what you and I have been talking about with the idea that nothing ends. We're condemned to this forever. This election lasts forever. Our lives last forever. There is no civil war. There is no burst of violence. I don't think that Tony dies. I think that the point of that is it doesn't matter if he dies or not, but he doesn't. The rest of his life is just misery. Every time he even goes to some fucking diner with famous onion rings with his shitty family, he's going to think he's going to be arrested or killed. He's going to further just devolve into unbridled mental illness. He's going to talk about children dying when at Meadows' like daughter's first birthday party.
Fuck. You know what? Oh, I was on because of filmic reasons, and I still think there's a good Brendan James explained one time to me his like semiotic description justification for why it's set up, and it appears to be narratively telling you that, but I gotta say thematically that 100% fits, because like guys like Tony and guys like Christopher, they do things that are dangerous. They live in they do crime, and their secret wish is for something to stop them from doing what they're doing because it keeps making them miserable. But they themselves do not have the character, the spiritual sense to stop themselves from doing anything. And they know that if they just keep doing what they're doing, if they just keep going and they just live, because your body is finite, they will end up like Livia. He knows that. And he will get to be at a point where he's only going to be able to think about death coming, and he's not going to be able to distract himself with any of the momentary pleasures of a consumption that he's been able to like keep himself vaguely ahead of the Reaper his whole life. He's just going to be misery. It's just going to be the presence of death, and then that's all your life is going to be. That's terrifying. The hope is something comes along and stops you, either makes you live differently or, better than anything, just ends it. Because if this is just life, if life is just life, like Tony dies there, that is the best case scenario for him.
Yeah, he got out easy.
He got out easier than anyone. And that's why, like, reading it through, like, it was good for Tony if he lives, it's bad if he dies. No, it's good for Tony if he dies. Him dying that way is his only hope of avoiding hell, which is aging into Livia.
And, okay, let's go back a bit. Why did Christopher appear with Tony at that sit-down visibly high?
Yeah.
And drive him back visibly
high?
Yeah,
he wanted to die.
He wanted to die.
Because he knew he couldn't keep, because it's like, I can keep living out this for a while, but eventually, like it starts settling into your bones, and you think about the only old people you know and the misery of their lives, and you're like, I'm not going to be able to hack that. But
like
I'm too cowardly to end it myself.
Christopher wanted to be killed by Tony. Like, Christopher's last scenes are a blow up.
Yep.
They're like, oh my God. Like, because he realizes what the rest of his life will be. When he goes to the bar and he tries to, after being disrespected by Paulie, like, betrayed by his friends, he tries to, make an overture to Paulie by drinking with him.
Yeah.
And Paulie just humiliates him in front of everyone. Which, by the way, leads to one of the funnier Christopher scenes when he goes to JT Dolan's house. JT Dolan's last words before dying: "Chris, you're in the Mafia."
Oh, right.
But that's it. Yeah, Christopher wanted out.
Yep.
He's like, I've seen what because 2 episodes before he dies, Christopher goes, "The great Dickie Moltisanti, my father, was just a fucking junkie."
Yep.
And that's him. He's right, and it's also him giving Tony the courage to kill him. He's like taunting Tony. He's like, "Oh yeah, you know this character building myth that you give yourself that like my dad was this great man and you're this great guy for looking after me. No, we're both fucking junkies and you're a psycho and this is awful."
And the thing is that
the only thing I have to show for this is a shitty movie I made with a Baldwin brother.
When you're fully attached to material comfort, like these people are, it becomes, the idea of losing it becomes literally worse than death, because these people could change things. Now, of course, one of the background radiations of these people's lives is that non-Mafia options are genuinely terrible. And, building character takes time, and it's very difficult to imagine stepping into the awful stream of, alienated labor in America. But they're also just unable to even conceive of living that way and of the horrible discomfort of it. And so the thought of that discomfort keeps them living lives that make them miserable and that they would rather just end than change.
Yes. Like, that's it. And Tony, being maybe the most morally corrosive character on the entire show, consumes and destroys everything that enters his orbit. He is condemned to live with it for the rest of his life.
Yep.
He's going to be Livia.
Yeah.
He's like, AJ is going to turn into a little Carmine. That's what's implied. That's what's implied with the end of his storyline. They're like, oh yeah, if you work at this club, you can work for Mr. Lupertazzi. And that's what he's like. That's what AJ's set up to be.
Yes, he's going to be the pretentious mobster.
Yeah, like AJ, because of those final episodes where AJ's like, it's so dicked up what we're doing in Iraq. And he just, even to Paulie, he sounds stupid.
Oh,
it's like,
God, yeah.
He's going to be a little Carmine. And Meadow is like, as much as Tony tried to get her, but Tony, like, his only act of love was like trying to alienate Meadow by being racist to her boyfriend. And even he couldn't get her out of the orbit. She just returns. She's with fucking Patsy Parisi's son.
Yeah.
She's going to have a kid with him. She's going to be a lawyer. She's going to be defending people like Walden Belfort.
Yeah.
Their entire lives.
Yeah. She was going to become a lawyer to change things.
Now she's just going to be a mob lawyer. And like Meadow and AJ are going to bring their kids by to an octogenarian Tony, and he's just going to be like, I read about a kid your age dying.
Because he looks at them and he knows that they're making the same mistakes he made, which are choosing the most comfortable option at every point, because the idea of losing comfort is worse than death. And now at a position of that age, aware of one's own failure to do opposite and hating oneself more than anything, you then just have to hate everyone around that you see that reminds you of that.
Tony will die. Tony will have a Christopher-like figure who gets high and goes on some idiotic tirade at his funeral. People will briefly talk about how he was a stand-up guy, but it's just on to the next. As the Mafia gets whittled
down
to like
a stupider, shittier version of itself.
It goes from 300 people that Junior and Johnny Boy ran to 50 guys that Tony ran to 3 guys in a room talking about how their uncle knew Tony Soprano.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah, so it goes. And not if it reminds anyone of a certain country or civilization that they know,